We don't talk about the practice of designing software enough today. This leads to wildly different approaches and also varying outcomes. You may have read books and watched the videos on systems design, but the magic is in how to put all this knowledge together. So today, I want to show you in practice how I incrementally design complex software with my customers in Amazon Web Services. This is a practitioner's method that I've evolved together with my esteemed colleague and dear friend Raja SP over the past few years. I've practiced this approach with software engineering teams in more than 7 countries and spoke at multiple international conferences on this topic as well. This is a method that I've found to work almost universally regardless of the industry or the specific domain of the application. We will try to design a software to help me operate my highly automated cafe. In the process, I will show you step by step how to carry out behavior and performance design to reach a minimally viable blueprint for implementation that maximizes the level of adaptability in the solution. The methods and techniques shown in this video will change as newer technology and solutions are made available, but I firmly believe that this approach will endure the test of time. My name is Derick Chen, and this is Build with DC. We have to start with the business model and the processes. This is the ground truth and the foundation which we will build our software from. From there, we find the best software solution to facilitate these transactions. And finally, we position our teams and engineers in a way that we can maximize the iteration speed. In the behavior design, we need to understand the business complexity and apply the 3-step simplification approach. Step number 1, question, to uncover the ground truth about the business processes. And 2, streamline, improve the processes in the status quo. And lastly, 3, optimize, rethink the problem for new perspectives that could help us simplify our solution. This ensures that we start on the right foot with the minimally complex problem. Now, without further ado, let's design the software for our automated cafe. So we're gonna start our cafe business because more people are becoming software engineers now, and there's a notable increase in the demand for coffee. No surprise there. We could use a similar operating model like the other big chains such as Starbucks or Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf. So there are processes that we need to model in the software to facilitate the transactions in the cafe. And being the tech people that we are, we have a list of user stories. Now, maybe with a little bit more business context, that's pretty much everything that a typical software engineer would get in terms of requirements in a Scrum sprint. Here's the first problem that we have. These user stories are not exactly a good representation of the business processes that we need to model. In our scenario, we are already familiar with what happens in a coffee shop, so there is an implicit understanding for the relational nature of these requirements. But we're not always so lucky. User stories are supposed to be a placeholder for our conversation with the technical team and the product, but that doesn't always happen. But we need the help of domain experts, the people on the business side who know the processes and limitations like the back of their hands. We need them to help us make sense of all these discrete pockets of requirements. So the first step of the design process, the behavior design, we convert these individual implementation requirements into something more strategic and relational in nature. I find that a view of the overall software requirements is extremely helpful, especially when it comes to designing for distributed software applications. The design philosophy that I use these days is called domain-driven design, or DDD for short. And there are 2 useful methods that I'm a big fan of that can help us create this strategic and relational view of requirements for the entire software system. They are event storming and domain storytelling. Event storming is a workshop that helps us uncover business processes and important events that happen within these processes with the help of domain experts, the people who are super familiar with the ins and outs of the business. It focuses heavily on modeling any process with an event-driven view. We can break down almost any kind of workflow or processes into a series of steps or crucial events that change the state of the business or the transaction. Remember, the steps must be critical and not trivial in nature. Together with other peripheral information such as the people who engage in this system, external integrations, and then many more, we can reliably arrive at the distributive design from the behavior perspective. And on the other hand, domain storytelling focuses more on the interactions of the actors or stakeholders in the workflows of the processes. I find this more applicable if you are trying to understand a highly complex process with many different stakeholders engaging in the same workflow. But for now, we will focus more on event storming, because the outcome of event storming nicely transits into the performance design phase later on. Event storming relies on components to represent an entire business process. I usually run these event storming workshops in 2 sessions, each lasting between 2 to 4 hours depending on the complexity level of the system that we're modeling. The first session covers the first 5 steps of event storming with both technical and business stakeholders. And the second session covers the remaining design work with the technical stakeholders only. In this workshop, we want to invite the product managers, product owners as the business stakeholders, and tech leads and key developers as the engineering stakeholders. The first class citizen and the most important component of event storming is, no surprise, the events. They are known as domain events, which are the important changes in the processes that alter the state of a transaction. A domain event must be significant to the business process in a noun and past tense verb format. This is because domain events are things that already happened and should not be reversed. Some domain events that we should have in our cafe would include order placed, payment made, and coffee brewed. But these events are still discrete in nature. That's why in the next step, we will arrange them in a chronological order and show the upstream and downstream dependency of these domain events. This gives us more contextual information during the implementation phase. Next, commands are the actions that initiate such domain events that we have already mapped out. These are the triggers to the changes in the processes that moves an instance of the transaction further down the steps. For example, the command for order placed is a customer ordering a coffee at our cafe, which results in the state change of a new order being created. In this case, we phrase the command as place order. It's common sense, right? Perfect. Now, the next question is who is initiating such commands? The next component we need to put on the design canvas is the actors. They are the people who interact with our software, the end users, the admin staff, support engineers, etc. And of course, there may be non-human actors in the processes as well, such as third-party systems that are sending and pulling data and also influencing our business processes. For example, we may have a system that automatically reorders coffee bean from our vendor when our supply falls below a certain threshold. In our cafe, we have our end users, the customers who want their caffeine fixes, the baristas brewing coffee, and the cashiers who take the orders and handle the payments. So just 3 actors. Simple. We also have rules in our cafe. For example, we may need to open the shop for the morning crowd at 8 a.m. so we can serve our first customers early, starting at that time. And of course, we may have other minute policies such as, we always give a napkin or serve our coffee with a cup of water. In event storming, we model these policies that may influence the progression of domain events as business policies. You should only utilize policies as critical remarks that may have wider impacts in the downstream system. In our cafe scenario, this means that if we're offering special edition holiday takeaway cups for a limited time, but this does not significantly influence the ordering process or the payment and fulfillment process, we should probably leave this policy out of the design canvas for now. For our cafe, we need to accept different payment modes, such as credit cards, cash, and maybe even crypto. but we're not going to build a payment processing system from scratch. That's just too much work and there's no way we can follow the timeline. So we will integrate with a vendor solution for this. These are known as external systems. External systems are other software systems that you exchange data with but do not have the influence over their implementation. So this may even include in-house applications and services in a bigger organization that's developed and maintained by a separate division or team. And here comes a natural checkpoint. At this point, we have gotten everything we needed from the business stakeholders or the product team. We now have a complete model of the business processes and the requirements. From here on, we will focus more on the technical design building on top of what we have so far. We will take a break here as we are about halfway through the behavior design process. Let's review what we have accomplished. We created a model of the problem we're solving using software systems. This model is an accurate reality because we follow the first principle approach to uncover lost knowledge and the important nuances directly from the domain experts. This is a solid foundation for us to continue behavior design from a more technical perspective in the next session. At the end of the behavior design phase, we will have a draft breakdown of our software based on the business model. From there, we will continue with the performance design. So when you're ready, continue with the next video for the second part of behavior design. Also, remember to like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe to my channel for more resources to help you build complex software systems faster and better. My name is Derick Chen. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.